Hi, I'm Kristen Oaks-White.
And I'm Avery Davidson. Thank you for joining us for This Week in Louisiana Agriculture, the only TV show bringing Louisiana farmers and consumers together every week. Live or artificial? That is the question. And with 18 Christmas tree farms registered with the Louisiana Department of Agriculture and Forestry, you've got lots of choices.
If live is the way you want to go, and as Twyla's Tammy Arender found out, many tree farmers are combining the choose and cut tree operation with agritourism.
Maybe this one.
What do you like about it?
I don't know, maybe I want to keep it.
Kyler Drummond of West Monroe appears to have found his favorite tree, but it's hard to choose a favorite here at Precious Memories. You gonna decorate it?
Yeah.
Say yes, ma'am.
How you gonna decorate it?
Just myself.
The most popular Christmas tree planted in Northeast Louisiana is the Leland cypress, according to Don Rawls, owner of this tree farm in West Ouachita Parish.
And that's really what's, to me, what saved the Christmas tree farms in the southern states was that Leland cypress.
Fluffy, full. I love a full tree.
I grew up with fresh cut trees, so I remember that smell. You just don't get that with the artificial trees. And I don't know, it's just kind of a nostalgic thing for me.
Going the choose and cut route is a change this year for the Brooks family.
I've always had an artificial tree, and I don't know, we wanted to do something more traditional this year, so we came out here to Precious Memories and just kind of make it a family memory.
Oh, look how much you've grown this year.
Making memories is part of the experience of Christmas tree shopping, says Rawls.
And when you see these kids climb up in Santa Claus' lap and say, "What do you want for Christmas?" You know, that's what makes Christmas.
That's the magic of it.
It's the magic of it.
Once chosen, the man with the chainsaw is summoned.
A tree has been cut down.
Then it's off to the tree shaker before you can take her home. This isn't just to shed the loose needles, but you never know if a squirrel or a bird has made its bed among the branches.
Our seedlings right here that we see them.
At Precious Memories, they grow 7 varieties of trees. Rawls even has his own seedling program to grow future crops.
And we take those clippers and clip this off even right here.
Rawls has 4 acres and some 4,000 trees. He uses the hothouse in January to get some 15,000 seedlings started in a period of only about 2 weeks.
Then you take them out of this, put that root hormone on there, and then lay them out to dry, let the root hormone dry on there. Then you stick them in that tray, then take that tray and set it on one of the platforms in there. 15,000.
Precious Memories is just one of 6 Christmas tree farms in Northeast Louisiana, and most do like Rawls and add sleigh rides, photo ops, and other holiday fun for a great agritourism destination and fun family experience. Also, Rawls says the key to keeping that tree fresh and vibrant for a month is lots of water.
With fall in full bloom, organic farmers Allison and Grant Guidros of Fullness Farms have changed their offering with the season. Twyla's AJ Sabine takes us to their farm to see what's growing for your holiday table.
Under a blanket of morning fog, Grant Guidros and his assistant Aaliyah worked to bring in fall kale on his farm just south of LSU. For Guidros, this is a very special time of year.
The fall is our favorite time to grow. Where greens it's their time to shine. We've got root vegetables coming on, broccoli, cabbage, cauliflower, some green onions, fennel, purple kohlrabi. But we're growing a lot of lettuce, a lot of baby greens like arugula and spinach, and a little bit of everything else.
Grant, along with his wife Allison, say that keeping up with their expanding list of restaurant clients such as Mestizos has redefined their business.
We want to make sure that we're supplying a consistent supply of things that they know that they need every week, like the salad greens and baby greens is what we really focus on. But then there also has to be some flexibility throughout the year as the seasons change, and a big part of that is just communication with the chefs, letting them know what's coming on, how the fields are looking, have them out to the farm so they can see see what we have and what's coming down the chute.
Like his retail customers, Grant Guidreau says chefs also want the freshest ingredients available, especially green produce, such as this kohlrabi.
With the restaurants, we're able to harvest and deliver on the same day. We harvest on Wednesday morning and deliver that afternoon. So it's something that once they have it, they really love it.
Restaurant clients have shown the love to Fullness Farms. Grant explains that he and Allison have more than doubled sales with the addition of restaurant clients. Allison explains the demand for freshly grown herbs, which could ultimately expand their operation.
We have a small amount of herbs right now, but we're definitely looking at expanding that. And we grow most of our herbs under protection, under a hoop house. So we have an area ready to put up another hoop house to grow more of the herbs and the edible flowers.
With a farm so inviting you wish you had a salad bowl, you can bet that Fullness Farms will be filling your plate at a restaurant near you. From Fullness Farms, I'm A.J. Sabine for This Week in Louisiana Agriculture.
You too can enjoy the bounty of Fullness Farms by visiting them in Baton Rouge at the Red Stick Farmers Market, or you can find them at online retailers like IndiePlate. For more information about Fullness Farms, you can always log on to our website at twilatv.org. And Kristen, I know you love gardening, and you've had some issues, little buggies and a deer going and chomping on some of your stuff, but how's your garden doing? What you got going on?
Well, there's not a whole lot in the fall that I like to plant, and I try to extend. I've just pulled up the tomatoes this weekend because they were still producing, and until that last cold bit that we had, they were growing. But in the fall this year, I haven't planted too much because we have a lot of wild animals that are eating a lot of my crop.
I think it's just one wild animal named Barb, the little deer you've taken in.
It's a secret that we cannot talk about. But fall is a time that you might expect to see only drab, muted landscapes in many parts of the state.
But as LSU Ag Center horticulturist Dan Gill explains, it doesn't have to be that way thanks to cool season bedding plants.
As we move into chilly fall weather, it's the perfect time to add cool season bedding plants to all your flower beds and containers where you want to have beautiful color in the fall, through the winter, and a huge crescendo of color in the spring. Your nurseries are full of cool season bedding plants now that are going to do a wonderful job of growing and blooming for you. They're frost tolerant. They'll take freezes down many times in the teens, at least down to 20. So these are plants that are reliably hardy for us through the winter season. Before you plant them into the ground, make sure you clear out any weeds or previous plants. Warm season plants, get them out of the way, throw them in your compost pile, and get these cool season plants in. Till the bed, add about 2 to 4 inches of good compost over the bed, a light sprinkling of fertilizer, and then till all that in thoroughly into the bed. That extra bed preparation, adding the organic matter and the fertilizer, will ensure that these bedding plants will do a superb job for you in your garden. Now keep in mind economics. This bedding plant right here is $3 for one. This is $3.50 for 6 plants. Now the economics of this is really easy to see, so don't just grab the biggest potted plant you can find. These cell packs oftentimes will stretch your gardening dollar. And finally, I always get calls about hollyhocks in the spring. Plant your plants in the fall. By February at the latest, find these young vigorous plants that are not in bloom and get them planted now. You'll have tall, glorious hollyhocks blooming in the spring. Get your gardens planted with cool season bedding plants now, and you'll enjoy color and flowers all through the cool season. Forget it growing. I'm Dan Gill with the LSU Ag Center.
For more information on winter planting or to contact the LSU Ag Center, you can visit our website at twilatv.org. Wet and overcast conditions during August have put a damper on what started out as an excellent pecan crop this year.
Twila's Craig Gautreaux shows us how this year's crop may yield as low as half of what Louisiana pecan growers have come to expect.
From an untrained eye, it may appear that Louisiana has a decent pecan crop this year. But upon closer inspection, many of the kernels inside the pecan are only partially filled. A wet and overcast August is to blame.
The effect that had on the pecans was it caused shuck decline, which is basically a physiological problem where the shucks start to die back early and the nuts weren't filled yet.
Graham said that earlier projections were for Louisiana's crop to be around 15 million pounds. Now, nearly 3/4 through the season, it looks like the crop will be around 7 to 8 million pounds. Many of the pecans are being discarded because of their low quality.
We have a lot we call pops where the kernel just doesn't develop, and those are very, very, very light. And so when you take a load out of the field and you take it into the cleaning plant and start blowing everything, all that lightweight pecans get blown out with the trash.
This year's crop has a very high percentage of these pops. Pecan trees have a tendency to produce every other year, and this year was expected to be a good one for much of Louisiana.
We have in pecans what we call on and off years. And what that means is a pecan tree will produce a really heavy crop one year, and it uses so much energy to produce that crop, the following year it'll have a very light crop while it recovers from the previous year.
Georgia, the nation's largest pecan-producing state, is facing similar issues, but don't expect to see a major shortage of pecans.
It's a southeastern issue. In the west, things seem to be going exceptionally quite well. They've started harvesting out west in Arizona, New Mexico, which are some of our bigger producing states out there.
But for growers in Louisiana, it will definitely be one of those off years in terms of production and quality. With the LSU Ag Center, this is Craig Gautreaux reporting.
Louisiana typically ranks in the top 6 of pecan-producing states, with crops averaging between 10 and 15 million pounds. To learn more about this year's pecan crop, head on over to our website at twilatv.org. On average, 113 youth under the age of 20 die each year from farm-related injuries. According to the National Institute for Occupational Safety, more than 40% of those deaths involve either machinery like tractors or ATVs.
In Louisiana, 19 people have lost their lives on ATVs in the last 2 years, according to Wendell Miley, the Louisiana Farm Bureau Safety Director. That's why the Jeff Davis Parish Farm Bureau put together a Farm Safety Day for high school ag students in the parish.
All 5 high schools in Jeff Davis Parish are represented, and we have around 335 students who are all enrolled in VOAG in the high schools and or 4-H.
If you look at the rankings of the occupations in the country, ag is one of the most dangerous ones. I mean, you got all sorts of equipment, livestock you're dealing with, and the thing that really happens is when people get tired at the end of the day, that's when people get hurt. They get careless. And it's a real opportunity to do that, and Farm Bureau in Jeff Davis and their board is a big part of this event.
It started with the board at Farm Bureau Jeff Davis Parish, which is our federation. And we've been working in conjunction with Costco Car Seats for years and years, which is a safety program. People can, by being a member of Farm Bureau, they can purchase a car seat at a discounted price. So we felt this is just something else that we could reach out to the community and maybe help the young people. Basically, we're just trying to bring safety awareness to these high school kids who are all old enough to operate ATVs, farm equipment. I mean, a lot of kids in these rural areas, they're on an ATV before they're on a bicycle. I mean, we see it every day, whether it's on a gravel road or going around a rice field or through a pasture. And I mean, danger is lurking around every corner, on ATVs without helmets, without safety belts.
This topic here is a very important one for this age group. These guys probably spend more time on these machines than their parents do. Our number one thing that I want them to remember before they leave my station here is keep them off the highway. About 7 to 8 out of 10 deaths in our state happen because they're being hit by other trucks, cars, 18-wheelers out on the highway, and they're not licensed and legal to be there anyway. So if we could do that, we'd drop the death rate tremendously. Gearing up and protecting yourself, wearing a helmet, wearing protective gear in case you do get into an accident.
Well, State Police, as I mentioned, is covering texting while driving to have a rollover simulator, which is very informative. It's not a hands-on, but the kids are right there to be able to see this the cab of a truck and what happens when you don't have your seatbelt on, so to speak. The Sheriff's Department is here. They're talking about gun safety. A lot of these accidents can be avoided if we take time and think about what we're doing. That's really what hit me, is maybe if we can reach out to these high school kids to give them situational awareness to where, maybe they will, instead of just running up and grabbing something, sit back, think about it, realize what they're about to be involved in, and maybe it will help. A lot of cases we're never going to know.
This was the first safety day for Bush and the Jeff Davis Farm Bureau to put together, but they say it will definitely not be the last. We'll be sure to keep you up to date here on the show when more programs like this will be held near you. Until then, you can find out more information about farm safety on our website at twilatv.org.
Still to come on Twyla, how could the congressional tax plan impact Louisiana farmers and what you pay at the grocery store?
But first, listening to farmers and ranchers to prepare for the Louisiana legislative session. Stay with us.
We are now about 100 days away from the start of the 2018 Louisiana legislative session. Lawmakers will face what's called the fiscal cliff.
That comes in July when about $1 billion in temporary tax revenue falls off the books. To make sure Louisiana's farmers and ranchers are properly represented during the session, Governor John Bel Edwards and Commissioner of Agriculture and Forestry Dr. Mike Strain toured the state where they spent their time listening and preparing. Two locations with a similar turnout and concerns. On the left, agricultural leaders from around East Feliciana Parish meet at Dennis Oquest Camp in Slaughter. On the right, farmers and ranchers in the heart of rice country in Evangeline Parish meet at R&N Farms. And at both locations, Louisiana Governor John Bel Edwards and Commissioner of Agriculture and Forestry Dr. Mike Strain field questions and concerns from women and men involved in every aspect of agriculture, from forestry to crawfish. The goal is act on each concern individually.
Identify the problems we can fix, identify those problems we need to work on or try to fix, and then identify those problems that we can't fix but maybe we can influence. In other words, those that are in local or federal jurisdictions.
Louisiana Farm Bureau Livestock Committee member Amelia Kent sees the value in having leaders listen.
There are some very large hurdles that agriculture and forestry both are facing, and I do think that this tour is allowing both the governor and the commissioner strong insight from the people that their decisions directly influence.
In Evangeline Parish, Louisiana Farm Bureau 3rd Vice President Richard Fontenot hosted Governor Edwards and Dr. Strain.
Anytime we can advocate for agriculture, much less locally at my home with my peers and throughout the community, and get the governor involved, I think it's an asset to not only our operation, our community, but to our state as a whole.
Governor Edwards knows the upcoming Louisiana legislative session will be contentious.
That is a 3-month general session. There will probably be 1,000 bills filed in the House, a similar number of bills in the Senate, and many of those will impact on agriculture and forestry. So we're going to make sure that we're working with Commissioner Strain and the chairman of the House and Senate Agricultural Committees to take a smart approach and make sure, first, you do no harm. Secondly, you help where you can.
Louisiana Farm Bureau President Ronnie Anderson says that's what the Farm Bureau is for, to help decision makers know the issues important to agriculture.
Our organization and the people that we're involved with within our organization are good at finding technical corrections to whether it be a row crop issue or a drainage issue or a wetland issue or whatever it might be. And we work really good with the legislature and of course, the governor and the commissioner in getting them information that will help them react to whatever the situation is.
Having the Farm Bureau at work in Baton Rouge is, as I think, one of the best ways for farmers to make sure that their interests are being looked after and protected and enhanced when that's possible.
We are rural America. You had a good broad example of that here today, and I'm very proud to be a part of that, and I think the interaction and the questions facilitated those interests and those scopes.
The 2018 Louisiana legislative session begins on March 12th. Obviously, the issues just heard about will be discussed at the state capitol. To keep up with what's going on during the legislative session, you can sign up for the Louisiana Farm Bureau's Grassroots Government newsletter. You'll get weekly reports during the legislative session on the issues you need to follow. We'll put a link on our website where you can sign up. That's twilatv.org. A new tax plan before Congress could have a significant impact on agriculture.
As we shoot this, the Senate tax bill made it out of committee by a narrow 12-11 vote along party lines. It will now face an amendment process before the full Senate vote. The bill is being seen as a critical test of President Trump's administration, which has yet to pass major legislation in Congress. Among the bill's many provisions is the removal of the estate tax, which has been a priority for organizations like Farm Bureau, as it unfairly damages the finances of farming families who want to pass their estates on to the next generation, can farm without additional debt. Many family farms have land that has a high dollar value but is cash poor in its operation. As such, the estate taxes often stop succeeding generations from farming before they actually got started. Kyle McCann, Associate Commodity Director for the Louisiana Farm Bureau, says the bill has a long way to go before it becomes a law.
Well, currently the Senate will be considering their tax provisions. Some of them may change from what was brought to the floor before final passage. If there is a difference between whatever is passed by the Senate and what was previously passed by the House, there'll be a conference committee to hammer out those details, and then the measure will go back before both chambers for an up or down vote before proceeding to the President for his signature.
The Senate is expected to vote on the bill before Congress goes to recess in December. For more on the bill or to participate in the discussion through Voter Voice, you can log on to our website at twilatv.org.
Still to come on Twyla, what does the shortage of Christmas trees have to do with your favorite hazelnut spread?
We go online to find out in Trending on Twyla. Stay with us.
What's trending online this week? Kristen, do you see what I see on Facebook?
Avery, you must be talking about, oh, Christmas tree, you're filling up my news feed. That's all you're going to get with my singing. But it's out with the turkey and in with the tinsel and trees. Thanksgiving came early this year, which means people are decking the halls a week earlier as well. From Times Square to the White House, everyone seems to be in the holiday spirit across social media.
Black Friday kicks off the official holiday shopping season, but it's also the beginning of the busiest season for Christmas tree farms and vendors across the country. But this year, rocking around a real Christmas tree could and does cost you a little bit more, as I find out whenever we went and buy our Christmas tree. Many farms from Oregon to South Florida are facing a shortage in supply. The culprit? Last decade's recession and Nutella. Yes, I just said Nutella.
When the recession peaked in 2008, fewer Americans were buying Christmas trees, which put a lot of farms out of business. Many of the farms that stayed in business cut back their crop inventory, and since it takes 8 years to produce a fully grown Christmas tree, you do the math and you can understand why many of those farms are just now starting to see the effects.
Okay, so where does Nutella come in? The Pacific Northwest, many of those growers shifted from Christmas trees to hazelnuts to fill the demand for one of the main ingredients in the popular Nutella hazelnut cocoa spread. And that would be hazelnuts, of course.
But fear not, we have some good news for those of us in Louisiana. Most of the farms here say they have plenty of trees to meet the demand. Pepper Christmas Tree Farm in West Monroe started advertising this season's crop back in September on their Facebook page. Blue, white, pink, and purple, the Peppers say they have plenty of trees to paint whatever color your heart desires.
Lots of folks posted photos from the field as they selected their own tree at various pick and cut tree farms all over Louisiana. Of course, we saw plenty of posts showcasing your beautiful Christmas trees at home, decked out with all of the holiday tinsel.
And all of those tree posts bring us to our next topic that's always up for debate this time of year, real versus fake. How do you like your Christmas tree? We posted a survey on our Facebook asking our followers to give us their input. And so far, the real trees are winning, with 63% of people preferring a real Christmas tree. So what do you prefer, Avery?
I mentioned it before. We bought a real Christmas tree. I love the smell of it. I love that it keeps someone employed. And in a lot of ways, it's a lot better for the environment because you've got all of these trees growing all the time. It is a sustainable resource and it supports all of our forestry folks. And that's, you know, I think about that every time we go and we start talking Christmas tree, and we don't talk about it very long. My wife, Lauren, loves real Christmas trees.
Well, I will have to go back to one of the very first stories that I did when I started working here at Pepper Christmas Tree Farm. He said an artificial tree is like an artificial Christmas, and so that's what I've always gone on.
And we have real Christmases around here and real trivia questions because it's time for this week's Twyla Trivia. Last time our question was, the average U.S. farmer produces enough food and fiber for roughly how many people? And the correct answer is A, 165. This week our trivia question is, which U.S. president was the first to place a Christmas tree in the White House? Is it A, Theodore Roosevelt, B, Franklin Pierce, or C, Calvin Coolidge? To enter this week's trending trivia contest, simply log on to your Facebook or Twitter account and post your answer with the hashtag TwylaTrivia, or you can always submit your answer on our website at twilatv.org.
Well, that does it for this edition of Twyla. Be sure to join us next week when we will learn how living and working on the farm can be a sweet education.
Until then, you can watch all of our stories online at twilatv.org, and be sure to like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Instagram, and tell us if you like a real or artificial tree. We want to know.
For all of us here at Twyla, thanks for joining us. We hope to see you again right here next week.